Good evening, everyone. I want to start with a question that may make some of you uncomfortable. How many of you have ever lost something that truly mattered? Maybe it was an exam you studied for day and night. Maybe it was a competition you believed you were destined to win. Maybe it was an opportunity that felt like your only chance. Or maybe it was something much more personal, a dream that quietly slipped away while nobody else noticed. Now, let me ask you another question. What if the greatest lessons of your life are hiding inside those moments? We live in a world that celebrates winners. We applaud the person standing on the highest podium. We admire the entrepreneur whose company succeeds. We congratulate the student with the highest grades. We scroll through pictures of achievements, awards, and milestones until we begin believing that success is the normal path and failure is the exception. But that's not how life works. Life doesn't move in a straight line. It moves in circles. It moves through seasons. It moves through victories and defeats, confidence and doubt, hope and disappointment. And yet, somewhere along the way, we started believing that losing is something to hide. We hide our failures, we hide our mistakes, we hide our fears because we're afraid that if people see us lose, they'll think we're weak. But I want to challenge that idea tonight. What if losing isn't the opposite of winning? What if losing is the price of becoming someone capable of winning in a way that truly matters? Think about it. Every person you admire has lost. Every leader has doubted themselves. Every champion has failed. Every inventor has watched an idea collapse. Every artist has created something that didn't work. Every successful student has opened a test paper and realized they weren't as prepared as they thought. The difference isn't that extraordinary people avoid failure. The difference is that they refuse to let failure become their identity. And that brings me to the first thing you'll only learn from losing. You learn who you are when nobody is clapping. Applause is powerful. Recognition feels wonderful. Encouragement gives us energy. But applause has a limitation. It only exists when someone is watching. Character is different. Character shows up when the room is empty. Character shows up after everyone else has gone home. Character shows up when you fail the exam, when you don't make the team, when your idea gets rejected, when the interview ends with a polite "we'll let you know," and the phone never rings. In those moments, there is no audience. There is only you. And suddenly, the most important conversation isn't happening with your teachers, your parents, or your friends. It's happening inside your own mind. That conversation determines everything, because the voice inside your head will either become your greatest coach or your greatest critic. It will either remind you that one failure does not define your future, or it will convince you that one bad day is proof you'll never succeed. The question isn't whether you'll lose. The question is what you'll say to yourself when you do. The second thing losing teaches you is patience. We have become addicted to speed, fast internet, fast food. Fast results. We want everything immediately. We expect progress to be visible every single day. But nature has never worked that way. A tree doesn't become strong because it grows quickly. It becomes strong because it keeps growing through storms. A mountain isn't impressive because it appeared overnight. It's impressive because it survived millions of years of pressure. The same is true for people. The strongest people are rarely the ones who had the easiest journey. They're the ones who kept growing when growth wasn't obvious. Sometimes you're improving even when you can't see it. Sometimes you're becoming stronger in ways no one can measure. Sometimes your greatest progress is invisible. Don't confuse invisible progress with no progress. The seed beneath the ground isn't doing nothing. It's preparing. And preparation is never wasted. The third thing losing teaches you is humility. There is something fascinating about success. It can make us believe we've figured everything out. It whispers that we've arrived. Failure says something different. Failure says, there is still more to learn. That isn't an insult. That's an invitation. The moment you believe you know everything is the moment you stop growing. Curiosity disappears. Questions disappear. Improvement disappears. Losing reminds you to stay teachable, to listen more, to observe more, to ask better questions. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, what can this teach me? That single question has the power to transform frustration into wisdom, because every experience leaves something behind. Sometimes it's a reward. Sometimes it's a lesson. If you pay attention, both are valuable. The fourth thing losing teaches you is resilience. Resilience isn't something you discover during easy times. It's something you build through difficult ones. Imagine trying to strengthen a muscle without resistance. It can't happen. Strength requires resistance. Life works exactly the same way. Every disappointment places emotional weight on your shoulders. Every setback asks you to carry something difficult. Every obstacle challenges your confidence. And every time you choose not to quit, something inside you grows stronger, not immediately, not dramatically, but steadily, one decision at a time, one digital day at a time, one difficult day at a time, one moment of courage at a time. People often ask where confidence comes from. Many think confidence comes from winning, But lasting confidence comes from surviving moments you thought you couldn't survive. Once you've made it through your hardest days, you stop fearing difficult days quite so much, because you've already proven something important to yourself. You can endure. You can adapt. You can begin again. That realization changes everything. There is another lesson that losing teaches, and I believe every student in this room needs to hear it. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose your joy. You look around and someone seems smarter. Someone else seems more talented. Someone appears more successful. And slowly, without realizing it, you stop measuring your progress against who you were yesterday. You start measuring it against someone else's highlight reel. That is a race you will never win, because you're comparing your private struggles with someone else's public victories. You don't know how many nights they spent doubting themselves. You don't know how many failures came before the success you see. You don't know what price they paid. Stop competing with everyone's results. Start competing with your own potential. The only person you need to be better than is the person you were yesterday. That's a competition worth winning. So tonight, before you leave this room, I want you to remember one thing. Losing is not evidence that your story is over. Sometimes it's simply the moment your real story begins, because the strongest people aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who discover every single time they fall that they still have the courage to stand back up. And that courage is worth more than any trophy. It's worth more than any applause. It's worth more than any temporary victory, because once you build that kind of courage, nobody can take it away. And when life gives you another challenge, and it will, you won't ask, why me? You'll smile quietly and think, I've been here before. I know how this chapter ends. I rise. Thank you. Losing reveals the difference between confidence and ego. At first glance, those two words seem almost identical. They both make a person stand taller. They both create bold decisions. They both allow someone to walk into uncertainty with their head held high. From the outside, confidence and ego can wear the same clothes, speak with the same voice, and even produce the same results. That is why so many people spend years believing they are the same thing. But life has a remarkable way of separating what appears similar. It doesn't happen during moments of victory. It doesn't happen when everything is going according to plan. It doesn't happen when people are applauding your success. The difference only becomes visible when you lose. Winning has a way of hiding weaknesses. Success often covers cracks that already exist beneath the surface. When everything is working, it becomes easy to believe that every decision you make is the right one. Every compliment sounds like confirmation. Every achievement feels like proof that you've figured life out. Then something changes. You fail an exam. You lose an opportunity. You work harder than ever before, yet someone else gets chosen. You invest your time, your energy, your hope, and the outcome still doesn't go your way. That single moment becomes a mirror, not because losing changes who you are, because losing reveals who you have been all along. If your confidence disappears the moment success disappears, it was never confidence. It was ego wearing confidence's mask. Real confidence says, this result is disappointing, but it is not my identity. Ego says, if I failed, then I must protect myself by blaming someone else. Real confidence asks, what can I learn? Ego asks, who can I blame? Real confidence remains curious. Ego becomes defensive. That is why failure is one of the most honest teachers you will ever meet. It refuses to flatter you. It refuses to tell you comforting lies. Instead, it quietly places a question in front of you. Who are you when nobody is impressed? Think about the moments in your own life when things didn't work out. Maybe you prepared for weeks only to receive disappointing results. Maybe you believed you were ready for an opportunity that never arrived. Maybe someone doubted you. Maybe someone rejected you. Maybe you even started doubting yourself. In those moments, two voices begin competing for your attention. One voice whispers that your value has disappeared. The other reminds you that your value was never attached to the outcome in the first place. One voice tells you to quit because losing is embarrassing. The other tells you to continue because growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. Those voices don't come from circumstances. They come from the foundation you've built inside yourself. Confidence is built on character. Ego is built on comparison. Confidence grows stronger because it measures progress against yesterday. Ego grows louder because it measures status against everyone else. That difference changes everything. When someone else succeeds, confidence becomes inspired, ego becomes threatened. When criticism arrives, confidence listens before responding. Ego reacts before thinking. When mistakes happen, confidence accepts responsibility. Ego searches desperately for excuses. None of those differences are obvious while life is easy. They become unmistakable when things begin falling apart. There is a reason the strongest leaders are rarely the loudest people in the room. Strength doesn't need constant validation. Confidence doesn't demand attention. The tallest tree in a forest never spends its energy proving that it is tall. It simply continues growing. The same is true for people. Those who possess genuine confidence spend less time proving themselves and more time improving themselves. They understand that excellence speaks long before words ever can. Ego, on the other hand, constantly seeks recognition. It wants immediate applause. It wants to be noticed before it has earned lasting respect. That pursuit becomes exhausting because approval is temporary. The moment your happiness depends on constant recognition, your peace becomes controlled by other people's opinions. Real confidence sets you free from that prison. It allows you to work quietly, to improve patiently, to remain humble enough to keep learning. Because confident people understand something ego never accepts. No one is ever finished growing. The moment you believe there is nothing left to learn is often the exact moment your progress begins slowing down. Every setback becomes an invitation to become wiser instead of becoming bitter. Every difficult season becomes another opportunity to strengthen the foundation that success alone could never build. And slowly, almost without noticing, you begin to realize that the greatest victory is not proving everyone else wrong. It is becoming someone who no longer needs to prove anything at all.